No, let's start that again. It is Thursday, 29th of April, 2021, and you're listening to episode number 2 of Brew with Bottle.
Brew with Bottle.
And good evening indeed. Here we are live at the GGB Help Studios. My name's Liam. I'm your host for this evening, and I'm very pleased to say that I'm joined for a second time with Bamps. Bamps, good evening, sir. How are you?
Hi, Liam. I'm fine. You?
Yes, very good. Thank you. Welcome back to the second show. And I brought you on this evening because I did a solo show yesterday on YouTube with the results and wanted to speak to yourself about the results in a lot more detail than what I could have ever covered them in last night. So we've got you here today. If anyone's going to sort of follow along, we've got the Newcrest report that we're going to be referring to throughout the show, and we're hoping to turn this into a YouTube video as well. So if you don't have the Newcrest report, you can refer to the YouTube video at the same time. When the results came through yesterday, and you only saw that there were 4 drills in the growth phase, what was your first reaction?
My first reaction, it was slow down, stop scrolling through that report.
Touché, sir. Touché.
Right. Now, this is how I would have done it. I would have looked at Red Chris's.
Okay.
Right. I'm going to just talk through the comparison with Red Chris and Havron.
Okay.
Right. So scroll down to the drill reports of Red Chris.
Down to the tables starting on page number 13.
You can see there's a lot of information on there.
Yes.
Ignore it all. Go to the right-hand column.
Right.
Cut-offs. And read to me what you can see on the cut-offs.
I'm about to get one of my questions answered here. So I'm reading 0.1, 0.1, 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, 0.1, 0.5, 0.1, and so on and so on. And then you get to a number 1.
Yeah.
And then
that's high.
That's really high. And then I go to the next page and it's 0.5 and then a whole bunch of 0.1s with a couple of number 1s.
Okay. Skip that now and go to Havron's if you can find it.
That's all the way down on page 20, starts on page 22. That's easy for me because I'm on the computer and not on my phone. But that's on page 22.
Right, do the same again. Go, ignore everything. Go to the cutoffs.
So 0.2, 0.2, 1, 0.2, 1, 30, 0.2, 0.2, 0.2, 30. 0.2.
Can you see any difference?
That number 30, not just a 1, a 30. And there are, how many of them are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm now onto the third page of results. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, onto the fourth page. I would say a good 24 that are cutting off. Oh, and there's a whole chunk of them down on Had 130. Oh,
now they're very good, aren't they?
That is amazing.
Go back to the 0.2s.
0.2 grams per ton.
Go back to the 0.2s and see how many you can see.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
There's a lot.
Yes, they're quite a continuing theme.
But what I'm getting at is, right, if we had the same cut-offs as Red Chris, we wouldn't be getting any broken intercepts. Can you see what I'm getting at? Red Chris has got 0.1 cut-offs and they have a lot of broken intercepts.
In terms of including.
Yeah, forget the inclusion ones. Just look at the
main ones.
The main ones. The inclusion ones just add the average to the main ones.
Right. Okay.
So forget them. Just look at the
So
main
0.1,
intercept.
0.1. I'm going to look back to the red quest. They're all 0.1s.
Yeah, but there's gaps. If you look at the from and to where the drill hits, it's about it's in the middle somewhere.
Okay, yes.
It says from and to.
Yep.
If you look at from and to the last figure, and then look at the next one down to it, you'll see you can work out the broken intercept.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is with Red Chris, they've got long intercepts.
Yes.
But the cutoff is 0.1. So the intercept is going to be a lot longer than Havron's because they're at a much lower grade.
To get to that figure, they're having to use a lot more ore.
Yeah, but a lot lower grades to get to that 500 meters or whatever they got to.
Okay. I think I get that. Whereas I'm looking at...
So when you get down to Havron, we've got some big intercepts and we've got big broken intercepts, the bits between.
Yes.
What I'm saying is if we had a 0.1 cutoff, there wouldn't be any broken intercepts. So what I'm getting at, the whole Breccia pipe is mineralized. Can you see what I'm...
They're just pulling it out. Yeah, I mean...
Is that clear as mud?
I think so, yeah. I mean, the easy one to look at there is HAD 83, wedge 4, which goes from 805 to 1,080.
Yeah.
And that pretty much covers, they're including, pretty much actually covers the entire from 805 to 1080, or 1080, as it were.
Yeah, so if you go to, there's a lot of sections. They've increased the number of sections. And if you go to section 5, 6, and 8.
In terms of the images?
Yeah, down the bottom, the cross sections.
5, 6, and 8.
On the right hand side, you can see on number 5, you can see broken intercepts, red ones, and they go through the yellow crackle breccias down into the blue concreted breccias.
Yep.
Okay. So that is one of your 4 drills. What this is doing is it's found another lot of concreted breccias in amongst the crackle. And that's where your 156 meters at 1.1 has come from. It's in the concreted breccias. And it's going down the intrusion. The concreted breccias is like an intrusion coming up through the crackle breccias.
Which was actually what prompted my question yesterday to Magic about what has more, the crackle or the cemented, because
it's
that's
the
what prompted that
ones.
Was these red dashes in figure 17, line section 5, S5 even, for those following along.
So when you go down to number 6, look, the red intercepts are in the concreted breccias, the blue.
Yes.
And then when you go to section 8, you can see that they're very shallow and they're in the crackle. So the 2 lower grade drills that we've had are in the crackle, but they're higher up, which is what I expected, because our weakest point is at the top and in the northwest end of the oval. So I wasn't expecting 156 at 1.1. I was expecting probably 100 at 1, but that was more than what I expected. It was quite amazing.
So when we look at the picture that we quite often like to look at, the oval that's not yet coloured in with expected breccia zones, would you expect that now to be becoming all red and the whole thing in there becoming a Breccia zone?
I'll try and explain that bit. That what they've done, they've sliced through the ore at different levels.
Ah, yes.
Right, and that one with the white is a mixture of all different levels.
Okay.
So really, it's a bit false.
Because it's a 2D image of
it's
a 2D image of a 3D. Because actually, I'm now looking at Figure 12, and Figure 12 actually shows that. See, I missed this yesterday. This is why we've come back to look at it. Figure 12 on page number 26 actually shows that Crackle Breccia going the whole way round the oval to the outside of it.
Well, you're on 26.
Yeah, Figure 12, page 26. That actually gives the Crackle Breccia on the outside of the oval, and the whole thing is coloured in yellow. How did I miss that yesterday?
Yeah, but there's another one that shows white. You were mentioning it last night.
Yes, that's the one I normally refer to.
At you.
Oh, was ya? That one will be on page number 7 for anyone that's following. Figure number 4. That's my favourite image. As he adjusts his microphone.
So that's page 7, is it?
Yes.
Hang on.
At 4,700 meters RL. And we should probably explain to people as well what that means, because you kindly explained that one to me last time around. But we'll look at the map first. Look at the overview first.
When you look at all these different items on this plan, it's a mixture of levels. You look at the eastern breccias on the northeast side.
Yeah.
They're down at 1,500 meters.
Okay.
Right. Now the white bit is a non-mineralized. I think they called it a mafic intrusion. I keep writing magic intrusion, so I think magic trades has been happening. But it's not mineralized. It's about 50 meters deep from the top of the ore.
Okay.
But I haven't been able to pinpoint the area of it, apart from this map. But the northern breccias don't go that high. They're down lower. So it's a bit of a false image. And in the north, where the sulfides kink out, that's down lower as well. So this image is a mixture of all different levels.
Is it? Am I better in some regards to look at the image above? Because the next page up is the 3D plan that they've kindly given us on Figure 3.
Yeah, you can see the green, the eastern breccias is right down.
Yes, it is.
Right, and that's where I'm saying that the bottom ovoid is bigger, because it's including that. Right, you can see the northern breccias in orange. That's down.
Yeah. Whereas
the northwest crescent is up.
Is up high, isn't it? And that's the sulfide zone, isn't it? That goes all the way around there at the top.
Yeah. I mean, this is my own interpretation of what's happened. And Magic keeps saying this is an academic subject, so I'm probably stepping on toes. But I think the crackle breccias came first. And I think when it started cooling, it shrank around the edges. And then there was another intrusion of sulfides, which came up through that crack. And it was that intrusion of sulfides that came up through the crackle breccias, turning it into concreted breccias.
Okay.
There's probably a load of geologists saying, no, that ain't true. But that's my interpretation.
They can come on the show and they can correct us that way.
Magic say, hey, he's all right, not
it. We'll get him to put his money where his mouth is next time around.
Yeah. He's an academic, he can tell us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good shot, that one.
It's amazing. And considering this just started out as someone kind of, let's just stick a drill here because we think there's a magnetic anomaly that looks a bit exciting, it's kind of grown into a bit of a monster, isn't it?
It's a big, big thing. I'm loving it. I think it's great.
Because it just keeps giving. You know, I mean, four drills, you would not expect much at all. And I appreciate the market does what the market does. You can't change that. But on the face of it, these 4 drills have opened up a whole new area for exploration for us.
Well, I don't know about quite in that way, but what it said to me was, I mean, they haven't gone very deep, remember? They're only down about halfway down, if that.
Yes.
And what it says to me is that whole northwest zone is capable of bulk caving. It's feasible. It's just de-risked the old place. If the weakest zone that we've got is good enough to be bulk caved, then the whole thing is just de-risked. Does that make sense?
No, I'm just letting that just sink in. I'm looking at the image on page number 6, and I'm looking at the inferred resource that goes through the middle of it, that runs from the southeast crescent, and you can actually see it buried in the northern breccia, going all the way to northwest crescent target. Thinking to myself, they could tunnel that from one end to the other and just turn the whole thing into just layer after layer after layer of tunnel.
They could do if the dike wasn't there.
Ah.
The dike is like a wall.
And is that going to prove tricky to move around?
Well, are we able to go on to the Greatland presentation? You got that one?
I have that one in front. No, I have that one right in front of me.
Hang on, let me turn over then.
Turning to page number 7 of the Greatland Gold resource presentation, April 2021. I've got the Javieron World Class Project.
That's it.
And I'm looking at a picture of the Breccia pipe.
Yeah, if you start at the top left, you've got the box cut.
Yep.
Then you got the decline going down.
Yes.
Then there's 2 shafts, vertical shafts. Those are starting in December, apparently, or one of them is.
Okay, and
maybe both.
What are the vertical shafts for? Is that for watering?
No, the ventilation mainly.
Okay.
Yes, you're probably right. They will be dewatering as well as they're going down. But there should be more boreholes around to dewater it before they get that. You wouldn't want water going down with that shaft, really.
No, okay, that makes sense, because then you end up with a flooded mine, and that kind of defeats the object.
So I think the decline will be going on past that before that starts.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Then you've got the spiral going down. And then you've got another long decline going towards the ore.
Yes.
Right, now that's going towards the southeast crescent to the west of the dike.
To the west of the dike.
Yeah. It shows it on page 8. Shows the spiral, the box cut, the spiral.
Yeah.
And then it shows a decline heading towards the southeast crescent.
I say yes.
That's our best bit.
That's where your big...
That is where all our good stuff is, in that bit. And it's big, wide stuff. And that, if you looked at there was one extension drill yesterday, and it was in that bit, but it was deep. It was 600 meters of ore down, and it was a drill length of 72 meters at 2.2 grams per ton, and that's about 62 meters across widthwise. And that's mainly concreted breccias.
Isn't that what you suggested we found in the north?
Yeah, the concreted breccias, yeah. That's what we want, concreted breccias. Apart from the sulfites, the concreted breccias. Good, long averages. That's what we want. That's good for mining.
Yeah.
But the sub-level caving is only going to go down to 350 meters below the top of the ore.
Okay.
It'll go down in 350 layers. so I've been told. So we've got 2 layers. They've proved 2 layers worth here. Well, I know it goes down deeper, but they've proved 2 layers worth. So we may not have had many holes yesterday, but to me, there was a lot of information coming out.
I'm sitting here smiling, Bamps, absolutely smiling.
Right, on that on page 8, that plan, you can see on the northeast side that they've expanded it.
It's 750 meters wide.
Yeah, but if you took the horizontal from one end to the other, that's 922 meters. That's not 650 by 350 anymore.
No, that's not, is it? I mean, that's what I was just thinking. I was comparing it to double-decker buses like 2 weeks ago, and 650 by 350 was the figure that I used.
And then
That clearly says
I
650.
posted the other day that I don't think I could publish what I was thinking, what the calculations worked out to be. But you can kiss the teens goodbye.
In terms of the share
figure
price
of 922 by 650 by down, that goes from, if you got the top of the ore, you got the top ovoid is 650 by 350.
Yep.
And when you get to 900 meters down, it goes to 922 by 650. Right? Now, if you go to the right onto that Breccia pipe, look at the dimension on the left.
I've lost which page you're on there, Bamp. Sorry, what page?
Same page, page 8 to the right.
Of the corporate presentation?
Yeah, page 8.
Okay. And yep.
On the right, you've got a Breccia pipe with red, the MRE outline.
Yes.
Look at the dimension on the left.
The one that says 1,300 meters.
Yeah, that's never been published before. We've known it. They keep saying about being down 1,000 meters, and Newcrest reiterated that yesterday. But Greatland is now saying 1,300 meters.
And what's that big red arrow at the bottom say?
Still open at depth.
So we're not done yet.
Look at the width, 650.
650.
This is going to be massive.
I mean, this is years and years and years.
Yeah, I won't be
of
around
work,
at the end
isn't
of
it?
this.
I'm speechless. Now, considering how much I had to say yesterday, me being quiet is it's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. I'll zoom in on that.
I must admit, I had to stop and look at that 1,300, and then the 750 by 650 just took me back. But that ain't the end of it, because I think the northwest end will carry on for a bit more. Could be a lot bigger yet. And I know some people are saying it will go to Apollo, but I'm not too sure of that. I don't think the ovoid will go to Apollo, but it could be a side shoot.
Would it?
When you get a volcano going up, you get side vents going off.
Yes. Is it possible that what is it? The mineralized dike? The mafic dike that runs up that way, doesn't it? Is it possible that something has followed that and used that as its path?
Not the dike itself, because that's post mineralization.
Oh,
post mineralization.
Okay, so that's occurred.
But that may have occurred from a lower weakness.
Right. Okay.
So it may have come up from the lower weakness. So I think Apollo's exciting. I think could lead to something else. It's just all exciting.
This
Jumping
is
up and down.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So that was my take on it anyway, on last night.
And considering I asked you almost 27 minutes ago what you thought of those 4 holes. Because on the face of it, the layman just goes, oh, yeah, 4 holes. Oh, yeah, 30 grams per tonne cut off. Oh.
I know.
But there is so much more information to be gleaned from these documents that we just
You can see why I
failed to
was
see.
laughing last night, can you?
Because I was so far from the actual truth.
No. I just thought you were really funny.
And they've also given me a nice image here and a lovely white background that I'm going to cut out, as Norm has. I'm going to drop that over some satellite imagery.
If you go back to number 7.
Page number 7. Okay.
It has a bit like a weird face, doesn't it, with a nose sticking out and 2 eyes and one winking.
It does. It looks a bit like, I want to say it looks like a bit like a fish. Got a bit of a fish face on the front of that there.
But on the bottom right of it, can you see where it's sticking out?
Yes.
Right, that's the eastern breccias. That bit sticking out. It's not very. This scale on this drawing is very small, so it doesn't look very big, but it is. Now I reckon there's the sulfides have come up that side through the crackled breccias, and they've worked their way up through the middle of this breccia pipe.
What is it?
And into the northern breccias. So I'm saying that the eastern breccias is feeding the northern breccias.
Oh, so it's coming from the eastern.
Yes,
breccias.
It's going up through.
Which is why
it didn't quite get to the surface.
Which is why it's smaller on top.
Yeah, which is why all the crackled breccias are at the top, really, and at the northern end, because the sulfides have come from either the southeast zone or the eastern breccias.
Okay, and what is it that causes this to come up? What is the cause of the pressure? Is it just the heat of all the liquid being forced that makes it become forced?
Well, it's gravity pressures as well, isn't it, on the ground?
Okay.
Squashing the liquids.
Almost like if you had a bag full of water and you stamped on it.
Yeah, if you put a pin in it, it would go.
Yes.
Come up like a volcano, you know.
That makes sense.
But there's been at least 2 magma intrusions, and I think the first one was the crackle, and the second one is the sulfides. Now, whether it's coming from 2 different sources from the granites, that's from Magic to tell me. Won't speculate on that one. But all this heat is drawing all the minerals out into the pipe. So you get demagnetized zones, means it's been demineralized. So all the metals have been swallowed up into the magma intrusions, which is why you get concentrations of metals in the magma. Because every bit of ground we've got has got some mineral traces in it. Copper is everywhere.
Well, this is why I'm sitting here giggling to myself, because I remember sitting here with you not so long ago, and you were beyond excited at the prospect of a drill being stuck into Goliath. Yes, and I'm just thinking to myself, if this has happened here, we know that there's been magma events. These have happened. They are confirmed in the area.
Yeah.
And if Goliath is as big as Goliath is, I mean, it's going to make Javieron look like an absolute
minnow.
golf ball, isn't it, compared to a football?
Yeah. It's big. Goliath is huge.
Didn't you say it was 1,000 meters down is where it roughly started?
Well,
Is that right?
There's two sections of it. You got about 200 meters of cover.
Yes.
And then you got 1,000 meters of an intrusion coming up through the gravity anomaly. And I'm presuming that's granites. Right? So this intrusion, when it comes up, if it's red hot magma coming up, it will be drawing all the minerals out of this granite into the intrusion. So the concentrations are in this red hot zone, which is where they're drilling. Now that goes down about 1,000 meters, and then there's a big mass underneath that, where I presume it's been trapped, and it's found a weak spot to come up through. And that's huge. I mean, the top intrusion is about 4 times the size of Avron. The bottom one it's just another 10 times, perhaps more, bigger than the top one. So if you get even this, if we add the grades like Red Chris at Goliath, it would just blow me away. I just hope there's something there.
And I've got this the right way around, haven't I? Is the grades at Javier on are far superior to Red Chris? That's the whole point of the conversation at the start, isn't it?
Big time. So I think I've just showed you with the cut-offs.
No, absolutely. So I just want to make sure I had that the right way round, because if Red Chris's grades, whilst not rubbish by any stretch, are that low, and Goliath turns up grades similar to that. I'm just trying to add this up in my head. Yeah, no,
but we've got to just hope there's something there, and I reckon if they drill another couple of holes there, you'll know that there's something there.
Yes, and I think as shareholders, the thing that we need to make sure that happens is we don't have another scallywag incident where we overhype it to the point of we shoot ourselves in the foot. We need to make sure that actually the hyperbole that surrounds Goliath remains very constant, very calm. Yes, we know it's there. Yes, we're excited, but actually...
we don't know what it's going to produce.
We want to assume, and we shouldn't assume, but we want to assume there's nothing there. Because if we get everyone on the, oh my God, this is going to be massive, this is huge, and everyone gets excited, the share price is going to double on expectancy. And you don't know what those jaws are going to pull up first time around, do you?
No.
And we can end up with Scallywag the second all over again.
Yeah.
And that as a shareholder does concern me, is just what we can do to help ourselves. And I think not getting carried away with the excitement, because it's going to be like Christmas all over again. When, in 12 weeks' time, when we start to think about that first drawer that they've sunk, does it contain mineralization? We could work really hard over the next 12 weeks to get to 30p or wherever we're going to be by then, and then lose it all over again because we get carried away. But
I don't think I'm getting carried away. I'm very excited by it.
No, I agree. I'm not either, but
I am very confident that Havron will match Goliath in its millions of ounces.
Even though its footprint's smaller, it will match it. That makes sense.
Well, I'm not too sure what's up at Goliath, but I'm confident that Havron is going to grow a lot bigger than it is at the moment.
Yes. I'm just looking at footnote 1, actually, of page number 7 of the Greatland corporate presentation. And it does say there, definition in footnote 2, 550 intercepts date at an average 0.2 grams per ton cutoff with an average width of 65.68 meters. That's apparent, not true. And the average gold grade equivalent is 1.73 grams per ton.
Where are you looking?
This is the footnote on page number 7.
Right down the bottom.
Right down the bottom, the small print. And then it says, best intercept to date had 65 wedge 2 with 120.7 meters at 6.9 grams per ton, gold equivalent from 1,349 meters.
I haven't read that.
No, but 550 intercepts to date. That's how many we've had. Out of 130 drills, I think, have now been sunk. There has been 550 reported intercepts of gold. At the equivalent cutoff, that's not ignoring anything that's less than 0.2 or, anything.
But if it was a 0.1, if it was a 0.1 cutoff, that 550 intercepts would be a lot less.
Yes.
Because there would be a hell of a lot longer.
Yeah.
Because there would be no broken bits in between.
This is just a massive concentration of gold.
Yeah, and copper. Don't forget the copper.
And we won't talk about the cobalt because
don't talk about the cobalt. That was one of my. Yeah. There's so much money in the cobalt, and then I've been told that chemically it's difficult to get it, but I'm not too sure about that. But other firms are getting it out, so I don't see why they can't retrieve it.
And what's to say in 5 years' time that no one's going to come up with the way of doing it anyway?
Yeah. But it's just that it goes on the end of the copper process.
Yes.
In the smelters.
Yes.
And you've got to rely on them to be able to do it properly. So I don't know the reasons why they're not reporting the cobalt. I can understand why they're changing their tact. GDP have changed tact into nickel.
Yeah, see,
I don't know whether that's because of Sean.
I've missed this. Where has this come from, this nickel discussion?
It's in this report somewhere.
I'm just going to Control F and type in nickel and see what comes up. Oh, I don't know if you heard that or not. Nickel. Panorama.
Look for bromus.
Okay. Buried greenstone with prospectivity for gold and nickel sulfides.
Panorama and bromus both got nickel. I mean, nickel's a thing with the Tesla batteries at the moment, but that still needs cobalt. You can't eliminate all of the cobalt from these nickel, and there isn't the supply in the world to do it for all electric cars. But they've replaced the cobalt at Panorama with nickel. I don't understand that bit. But you can have copper and nickel together, but they will never be all high-grade copper and high-grade nickel together. You won't get that. That's not the way it's formed. Right. When it was originally formed, you'll either get high-grade nickel and low-grade copper, or high-grade copper, low-grade nickel.
There has to be one that is the more dominant metal.
And cobalt is formed in the middle.
Okay.
So where you get copper and nickel is cobalt. But it Panorama, I can't see there being great concentrations of nickel. Because the cobalt seems to be dominant up there. We've been told it's there.
Yeah.
So whether they found that it isn't there, I don't know. But I doubt it.
Because this might have come from the recent... they've reviewed everything recently, haven't they?
They've been reviewing everything, yeah. So, but they haven't told us that yet. So I would like to see Callum do an interview, do a presentation.
That's what we're missing now, isn't it? Is actually
he's gone into the background.
Is a geologist from Greatland Gold to give us a presentation on what they found and what they hope to find. I mean, that's what we need, isn't it? Really, is someone from the company to
we need a company deep dive. That's what we need.
Yeah, definitely. I did extend. I won't lie. I extended the opportunity to the board to come onto the show and have a discussion, but they told me that they would be too busy to meet up for a brew. I'm not quite sure they understood what it was I was getting at. They thought I wanted to meet up, but that wasn't my point. Little did they know, but it's fine. I'll wait until I get my plane ticket down there, and I'll go and knock on their door, and I'll just door stop them with a microphone in my hand. It's fine. We'll get them that way. It's interesting though that when you look at Panorama, that they've collected surface nuggets have been collected over a 6 kilometer of strike.
Yeah, it's very long. It's like a reverse J shaped. I think there's 3 licenses.
Yeah,
or maybe 2, but one's, and the gold comes down the vertical bit, and then the U shape is where the cobalt area was.
Okay.
And then it goes back up again on the right. So the gold is the long bit coming down north to south, but it's not like Haverons. It's more sedimentary type gold layers.
Okay.
It's placer gold. It's a different type of exploration to what we've been used to.
Right.
I think it's more what they're doing. Artemis are doing up at Carlow Castle, and they've been finding cobalt and gold and copper. So I would expect sort of the same geology to be the same sort of minerals, but who knows?
Who knows indeed. Maybe that's a question at the next AGM. Or the next time old Sean, I shouldn't call him old Sean, should show him some respect really, but next time Sean Day does a Q&A, why aren't we talking about the cobalt? I think it's a very fair question. I bet no one will ask it though. Well, they won't broadcast that.
I've sent them both emails and I've had nothing. They've not answered.
That's not cool. Right.
And I've sent Newcrest one as well. They haven't answered either.
So why are they so? I mean, it's going to sound like a stupid question. If cobalt is so necessary and required, why are they opening themselves up to so much copper? Is the copper, and this is a stupid question, but I might as well ask it because I'm sure somebody else wants to ask it. Is the copper that more required as a resource on a global scale compared to that of the cobalt and anything else that would come with that?
Well, I think copper is the main mineral. It's going to get us away from climate disasters.
Right. Okay.
But we need cobalt. We need it for everything. Batteries. Do you remember those planes that the batteries caught fire?
Yes.
Remember they had it was a lithium ion liquid batteries.
The Dreamliner 787. Yes.
That was it. Yeah, there was 2 of them, weren't there? Didn't they catch fire? The batteries. There was something wrong with the batteries.
Yes.
They overheated and they caught fire.
Yes.
And it's the cobalt in the nickel batteries that stop it catching fire.
Ah.
Cobalt is also used in catalytic converters for petrol. I'm not sure about diesel, but it's definitely for petrol. So that sort of mineral use will go eventually, but not yet. I mean, we're still using it, and they use it also for desulfurizing in the oil refineries. They desulfur the oil.
So there's so many uses really for both.
But I keep on about it because I mean it have run. When I worked out the figures, I reckon that there's at least 3 million ounces gold equivalent because of the cobalt. But I've been told that Newcrest are only interested in gold and copper. So I don't know what's going to happen. But they certainly made a new plant for the molybdenum at Cadia.
They did what? Sorry, just hold on a second. What was that you just said?
They built a new production plant for molybdenum. And that's how you pronounce it.
We'll go with that. I have no problem with calling it molybdenum. What's molybdenum?
Right. It's another mineral.
Okay.
And what happens is the copper concentrate has been piped from Cadia down to the railhead. And there's a dewatering plant at the railhead. And they dewater it into a powder. Then it goes onto the trains. And then it gets taken to the port and shipped off to the China or Indonesia, or wherever it goes. But what's happening now, it says on that report that they're going to they're nearly ready to commission it. So that will start producing 100 million profit a year, which will reduce Cadia's AISC down.
Whoa! Hang on. We're reducing Cadia's all-in sustained costs from -$6 to even further.
Yeah, because of the molybdenum.
That's crazy.
But what happens is that the copper concentrate liquid goes to that plant, that new plant. The mineral gets taken out, and then the copper concentrate gets piped onwards to the railhead again, and dewatered and onto the trains and off. But if they could, the cobalt would be a credit, and it would go off if there is cobalt in Cadia. I don't know, but that would go off to China, and the smelters would get it out as a credit. So when Newcrest don't report credits, why I don't know, but
no, I've got the information here. The project is going to cost them 130 million Australian dollars. And it's going to produce 4.1 million pounds of. They've actually called it Holy Moly on their website. Holy Moly Bedenum, and with a reduction. So it's a further reduction of all-in sustained costs. Life of mine average of $67 an ounce.
Yeah,
that's -$71. That's crazy. A mine that size, and it's paying them to mine itself.
Should have asked you at the beginning. Make sure you saved it.
Oh, I tell you, that can be a standing joke. I will never live that down. But I can confirm right now, I am recording for a second time this evening to get this last little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me again. Unfortunately, I just cut Bamps off. Just a quick flick of the mouse, and Bamps was cut off before he had a chance to say adieu. And we came back and we had a lovely little conversation about tailings and how we're going to use them. And that, what was it you said about a new sensor?
Yeah, Newcrest have got a new sensor at Cadia.
Okay.
And it sorts out the waste ore, and the ore goes into a big ball mill drum, and it's turning round. And the sensors that they use at the minute get broken. They have downtime by having to get into the ball mill and empty it and replace the sensors and then start again. But they've had some computerized sensors, and it stops all the downtime, so that there's credits. There's profit to be made by low downtimes.
And I suppose with all the sensors breaking and every time they have to clear it out, then they're throwing, especially somewhere like Telfer, where the grades are so small, and we alluded to it a moment ago, so I know, but they're throwing it into what they call tailings.
Yeah, there's loads of gold in those tailings at Telfer. Was it Jim that told us? He said that they've chucked loads away into the tailings.
See, that's crazy. So there's a massive pile of earth down there in Telfer that you should just
it's that big flat lake of horrible stuff.
Yeah. We'll just get in there with your stick, because I've seen him on the TV walking around with their stick in their hand. And it'll just show you
what to get in that.
It's poisonous, isn't it? I think I was reading on the Mayan plan that all that water is just not good for you at all.
No.
So would they
probably come out a funny colour at the end of it?
Very much so. Would they? I assume this technology is something that they'll trickle over to Telfer.
Yeah, it's bound to go to Telfer. It's going to bring the AISC down further.
Because they've got to run it for another 40 years, haven't they, Telfer? That's not going to last that long.
It's got to be redone, isn't it, Telfer?
And you're not going to throw money away if you can save it in the first instance.
No. And you're going to want to stop waste oil going 45 kilometres to Telfer. So there's got to be something at Havron to cut out the waste.
Makes sense.
So the more they can find out, it would stop me having to do calculations for transporting costs.
It would save a lot of hassle. So instead of sending one truck with 100 tons, we or 10 trucks of 100 tons or whatever it is, we could send one truck with three tons.
Yeah, 3 tons of gold. Yeah.
3 tons of gold. Yeah, no, just gold, unrefined gold. That works
a bit
for me.
Of copper.
Don't forget the cobalt. We can stick that in. We can call them an Uber, and we can throw that in the boot. Look, Bamps, thank you so much for joining us today. I really, really appreciate your time. And to everybody else that's been here this evening, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you've learned as much as I have, because even though I went through it all last night and thought I'd covered most of it very clearly, very, very clearly, I wasn't even close to scratching the surface. I love that phrase. I try and use it everywhere. So without any further ado, we'll speak to you next time. From Bamps, from me, thank you very much, everybody, and we'll speak to you very soon. And good evening to you all.
Brew with bottle.